Yes, that is deliberate. That shot is deliberate. Just want everybody to see how I'm attired. The green cords have not come off. It is day 4. I wore them. I wore them Friday because I wanted to talk about, the Super Bowl and being excited about the Eagles. And then I wore them on Saturday because I wanted to have them on for CNN in case I had the opportunity to flash them, and I did. And then I wanted to wear them for the game because I thought I'm on a roll now, and I don't want to throw off the mojo. And then I'm in a celebratory mood, so I thought I'd wear them yet again today. I promise they will go into the washer later this afternoon. But what a weekend. What a wonderful, wonderful feeling to be in the Philly area. Actually, I'll tell you a funny thing about the green cords. And thank you to my friends at Parks Casino for allowing me to tell everybody about my green cords. My green cords get, sort of the raised eyebrow when I wear them, just like my red cords. Like, look at those pants, except for recently, because everybody has been in green, and it's just been a lot of fun to be out and about, and just see how everybody is attired. Anyway, what a night, what a game. I did well. I did well. Remember, I said that I didn't think this is relative to my friends at Parks Casino. I said that I didn't think that the birds, I've got to, speak in code now. I didn't think that they needed the point. And holy smokes, it was just not even close. I mean, I feel good for fans of Philadelphia that it was what it was, such a blowout. But for the rest of the country, not exactly a great game, right? And one mistake that I made is that I ended up going with Saquon Barkley as MVP, and a part of me wanted to go with Jalen Hurts. Obviously, I should have gone with Jalen Hurts. The only thing that KC did well, it's like they came in with their whole game plan predicated on shutting down Saquon Barkley, and that they did. And that they did. But everything else was just like Swiss cheese in terms of their operation. So it was great. It was just really, really great. And I'm happy for so many people. But you know what else occurs to me? It's like, I think about my own sons. They don't know what it was like to be a Philly fan back in the day, to have lived through the 1970s when I came of age. And I had a ball. I had a ball going to the vet back in the days when they had losing teams. That one of the most exciting seasons for me for Philadelphia was it 73, 74? Mike McCormick was the coach, Roman Gabriel was the quarterback, and they had the Fire High gang. I loved that team. It was fun even when they lost, but it's a lot more fun when they win. Thank you, Bet Parks. You can bet sports and play all of your favorite casino games for real money. You can bet sports or play blackjack, craps, poker, roulette, and hot online slots, all while watching the game. Make your downtime fun time. Play blackjack with a live dealer right on your phone. It was fun to have skin in the game, and I played some of the prop bets as well. And to be sitting there and just, enjoying it and enjoying the commercials and eating and drinking and doing all of the above and playing prop bets, all of which I did yesterday during the big game, courtesy of Parks Casino. New users download the app and get up to $1,000 casino bonus back. If you're down in the first 24 hours, your casino bonus has to be wagered. BetParks.com for the details. You got to be 21 and in PA, NJ, or Maryland for the BetParks app. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. The Monday poll question, the day after poll question at Smerconish.com. I've been wanting to do this, and when TC reads to me your suggested poll questions, more than one person has suggested it. I'm not giving a shout out to anyone in particular because that wouldn't be fair. But today's the day I'm asking it because I have data and a reason to want to ask. If the 2024 presidential election were rerun today, would the result be the same? Yes or no? The New York Times had an editorial yesterday saying, don't tune out. And for many, this is like the mantra. This is no time to tune out. Here's the first paragraph of the New York Times. Don't get distracted. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't get paralyzed and pulled into the chaos that President Trump and his allies are purposely creating with volume and speed of executive orders, the effort to dismantle the federal government, the performative attacks on immigrants, transgender people, the very concept of diversity itself, the demands that other countries accept Americans as their new overlords, and the dizzying sense that the White House could do or say anything at any moment. All of this is intended to keep the country on its back heel so President Trump can blaze ahead in his drive for maximum executive power so that no one can stop the audacious, ill-conceived, frequently illegal agenda being advanced by his administration. For goodness sake, says the New York Times, don't tune out. And they speak for many. I mean, the perception for many is that this has gone horribly wrong in just 3 weeks' time. And those who are critics of President Trump, this is now my assessment, they seek acknowledgement. They expect an admission, a sense of, what would I say, contrition, repentance from those who voted for Trump. In other words, implicit is the idea that if people knew then on election day, what was it, November 5? If they knew then what they know now, Monday, the 10th of February, well, then surely he'd never have won. Like, that's the vibe that I sense from Trump opponents. The vibe that I sense is one of this is a shit show. And if people knew when they voted what a shit show it would be, he would never have won the election. To which you've heard me say, hold on, I think people who voted for him are thrilled with what's happening. All the things that he's promised he's actually doing. How rare that you get someone who gets into office and so quickly tries to take action, whether these executive orders are ultimately, derailed by the court or not. He's trying to make good on his promises. From the border to the size of government to DEI to trans sport participation to today getting rid of the penny. I mean, he is constantly feeding the base. He challenged, speaking of the Super Bowl, he challenges the idea of the new kickoff, calling it a little bit weird. By the way, I too think it's weird. I understand why they're doing it, concern over CTE. Did you hear over the weekend that he said he won't deport Harry? As if he could just deport Harry. But he's not going to deport Harry because, hey, Harry's got enough trouble with his wife. I mean, constantly just pushing the buttons of populism and I think giving his base what they want. So there's the New York Times, and then there's my perception that people who voted for him are happy with what they're getting. What does the data say? And this is why I'm finally asking the question today. What if the election were held now? Would we get the same result? Okay, I've got two data sets, and both, reputable outlets. One is CBS and the other is Pew Research. And they kind of say the same thing. It's funny to me to see the headlines that get applied to each, because you can look at what do they say? Liars figure and figures lie. You can look at these data sets and say whatever you want to say. From CBS, his job approval stands at 53%. That's pretty impressive, especially for Trump. It wouldn't be impressive for one of his predecessors in a bygone era, but it is for Trump because he never gets his head above water. From CBS, with most describing him as tough, energetic, focused, and effective, and as doing what he'd promised during the campaign, President Trump has started his term with net positive marks from Americans overall. Many say that he's doing more than they expected, and of those who say this, most like what they see. And then it goes on to say one key issue looms for him, and that is that most Americans say the administration is not yet focused on lowering prices. But how about from CBS News and YouGov? Do you describe Donald Trump as tough? 69% say yes. Energetic? 63% say yes. Focused? 60%. Effective? 58%. And a large majority say that he's doing what he said he would do, regardless of whether they approve of it. Like everybody seems to be acknowledging that Trump is delivering on his promises. 70%. He's doing what he promised in the campaign. Do you approve of what he's doing? 53% say yes, 47% disapprove. And when you dig into the crosstabs, unsurprisingly, this breaks down by party affiliation in large measure. Sending troops to the U.S. border, 64% approve. Large detention centers while determining who should be deported, breaks even. 48% approve, 52% disapprove. His handling of the Israel-Hamas conflict, 54% approval. You get the feel, right? So by and large, it breaks along party lines. The administration gets relatively higher right amount of focus support for items like DEI programs, cutting foreign aid, driven largely by numbers of Republicans who think this is the case. Now I go to Pew Research. How do they characterize what their data shows 3 weeks in to Trump 2.0? Americans are deeply divided over Trump's plans and the way he is handling his job in the early weeks of his return to the presidency. Overall, approval, they say it's 47%. CBS said 53. Pew says it's 47. Overall, 47% of U.S. adults approve of how Trump is handling his job as president, while 51% say they disapprove. And most of these views are strongly held. 37% strongly approve of his performance, 40% strongly disapprove. Roughly a third, 35%, say they support all or most of Trump's policies and plans. 17% say they support some of them. Nearly half of adults say they support only a few or none of his plans. His current 47% approval rating is higher today than it was at the beginning of his first term in office. 84, I know, eyes are probably glazing over. Let me just conclude with this. 84% of Republicans and Republican-leaning independents currently approve of the job he's doing. 84%. Where does he draw support? He draws support, meaning where are his numbers more positive than negative? He draws support among men, white adults, adults 50 and older, high school diploma or less in terms of education. So, show me a white guy who's older than 50 and his education is high school diploma or less, and I will show you a Trump supporter. Where are his numbers more negative than positive? Women, black adults, but I have to stop and say 19% approval rating. That exceeds what other Republicans have been able to get. Hispanic adults, 36, same observation, 36% approval rating among Hispanics puts him in better stead than other Republicans I can think of. The under 50 crowd and a college degree or more. Guess what? And here's the bottom line on today's poll question at Smerconish.com, where I'm asking if we had a mulligan, if we had this election redone right now, would the result be the same? My answer is yes. Because when I look at these demographics and when I look at the even divide, it's exactly where we were. It's exactly where we were during the course of the election and on November 5th. And maybe it's gotten even better for Trump by a slight edge. So if, I'm not asking, would you, because then my answer is really dependent upon who's voting in that day's poll question. And I get it. We see results oftentimes that skew left of center. I can't control who votes in my poll. And I think that's what the result, like if you were voting today, for whom would you vote? Kamala Harris or Donald Trump? I think that Donald Trump would lose that poll. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking instead, assess the data, assess what's gone on, and tell me if the 2024 presidential election were rerun today, would the result be the same? I think that it would. All right, like and subscribe and set yourself up for notifications so that whenever I turn on the camera via YouTube, you will be there. You'll be notified and you can join me. Go vote at Smerconish.com. If the 2024 presidential election were rerun today, would the result be the same? See ya. Go Birds.